Working Man in AZ. I had something about 73 videos of. The original and very first video was when car dealers attacked. And it was an ensemble of basically 2 days of footage, the 20th and the 21st of September, which is the 21st of September when we were attacked. But I put this site up, and Mr. Schmidt knew site down because keep in mind, Stephen Chu was on the Alder task force for Ron Bloom that would never answer this complaint. This is at the meltdown. They're closing dealerships. People are losing their life. Mom and pop dealerships across the country. And here we did the first video. I had never posted videos on YouTube before. I had no political agenda. I had no corporate agenda against anybody.
Rudy can run the company. They don't need you.
Understanding how the civil rights attack came to be and the abuses that we have suffered even before, after the attack, and even to this day. You have to understand that she bought a car in '06, and if you watch this video, Nissan Altima 2006 gives a slow burn, #1, by Bill Wagner from California. This gives you an idea of the issues of the reason why we're protesting. If you watch a little bit of that video, you get an idea, and this is how it all started. She actually bought this car from Carlos Ghosn. Great guy from California, does a lot of stuff on the Michael Jackson trials in California. Great guy.
I bought the car at ABC Nissan in Phoenix, Arizona, on the advice of a co-worker.
It's pretty wicked over here.
Beautiful lady, works in the healthcare profession in the lab, does analysis for blood testing, and also draws blood to allow your senior citizens for over 35 years. All she wanted to have was a nice new car.
Car companies also have one like
it. To me, apparently in other states, there had been newscasts regarding this, recall on this.
Watch the video for more details.
Go
to my favorite.
Great lady, stand-up person from Boston, Irish and Scottish. Just a stand-up lady, just the type of person that's the type of person that works with your colleagues and friends at work, that's a team player. The person that will go out and get flowers when someone's sick. The person that will help give someone a costume for some type of costume party or event. That type of person. The person that you really want working for you as a team leader. But they're on a scorpion, and they are in people's homes. They're almost hard to eradicate. I can get bitten by them usually once a year, and it's like a bee sting, and it's unpleasant for a while, but some people can be lethal. To DWS guys, it can be fatal. But anyhow, the children eventually moved in to our community, and they were modest people, they were poor people, and they were really nice kids, but anyhow, they didn't have pets. And Debbie was worried that the scorpions would bite them if they were sleeping on floors and couches and the new properties or rentals that they were living in. So she went out and got pets to get them kids off the floor because that's the type of person she really is. And these were the kids that were helping us protest. So I just want people to know that, and they're really good kids. I call Working Men #1 that retained some of these videos. Here's Debbie Westcott. We started protesting just Nissan dealerships. The GM dealership was not involved in it. It was just Nissan dealerships across the valley. We were trying to send a message to Carlos Ghosn to make amends with this recall and the sales contract. And even when we made these videos at the time, we found that there was even more discrepancies. We filed our complaints with the state, which really does no good. It was a Van Tile holding group. He owns something like the most dealerships in the state. He had state contracts. He's a very well-known businessman. There wasn't no one who could touch him. Did state investigations. They knew who he was before we even got there. He had people inside there that were buying cars from him. The dealerships are different names. Nobody knows who they are, just like the power dealers. You don't know who runs that dealership. But my advice to you is, if it's a large dealership, stay away. Because if you have a problem with a large dealership, there's no way they have to give you any satisfaction. The smaller dealerships, the manufacturers may lean on them. They may lean on them. The large dealership that's putting out the high volume of cars, it doesn't make a difference what they do, or there wouldn't be a video called When Car Dealers Attack at the time. And if we could get a criminal investigation and they would, YouTube would allow them to open up Working Man and AZ, would show more footage that I lost when they took the site down. But this is one of the Johnson boys, and this is Travis. He's 14 years old, and this is Andy, the 17-year-old, was almost pushed in the street, and this is Wayne that was hit in the face. But anyhow, some of the video we'll never know because it was edited out. And it's very easy to prove. I did frame by frame with the lap counter plus another couple of the clocks, and you can see there's parts that make no sense. Westcott had no control. Once she pushes the button on, he attacked. It's a running film. But some of the video we'll never know because it was edited out. And it's very easy to prove. I did frame by frame with the lap counter plus another couple of the clocks, and you can see there's parts that make no sense. Westcott had no control. Once she pushes the button on, he attacked. It's a running film. But anyhow, that's one of the Johnsons. Lee Johnson, which is the handicapped, retarded child, is behind him, and he's the one that screams, "Oh my God." And as you know, that the younger brother is almost larger than the handicapped brother, and they're really good kids. These aren't the kids with purple hair, with metal. These aren't the kids throwing things in the parking lot, spitting. These aren't the malicious kids. These are basically good kids. Anyhow, these were the children that were involved, and then the guy with his back towards you, his name is Wayne, he was hit in the face. Using the fraud contract by the Van Tile Holding Group. I mean, this guy went as far as to take the incentive, which was $2,500 off in the car, take the form, mark it out, and change it to $1,750 after Westcott leave. I mean, it's complete fraud. Van Tile had been known to doing this. He had multiple complaints. The state would never do anything, but nobody goes against the cash cow of the corporation. We ended up in Chandler, Arizona, at a Nissan dealership. We had been to others on Bell Road where I was assaulted and attacked and chased across the street by the Van Tile. We're trying to work something out now with Nissan to remedy the recall and the fraud, but they're not going to. And remember, they're in the hunt to get the 1.64, the 1.6 billion from the Department of Energy for the battery technology ban. This is England. Now, me and Westcott show up there. We got two sons. Another gentleman that was there. He was pretty good. And we show up there with two signs. And if you see the corner where they're on, they came across the corner, just two people with signs. Didn't know it was a power dealership. All we knew it was a Nissan, and we were going to voice our opinions to Carlos Goss to make things right on the car from the first purchase from the Van Tile Holding Group. This is before we got to Peoria. These guys come out. I don't have a camera at this time. I don't even really know that much about YouTube at this point. It's just me and Westcott with signs across the street. We've been to a few other Nissan dealerships. He comes out and tells me, and I audio taped this guy in front of all these other 4 or 5 men across the street, that he was going to arrest Debbie for disorderly conduct. I taped it. Now, could you imagine you're standing there with a woman across the street, 4 people approach you, they kind of scare you, and then the manager of the Power Nissan dealerships just said he's going to arrest you. Now, I guess they have that kind of authority to arrest people because if you're coming from a Power dealership, not only will you be beaten and degraded, they can arrest you. I played this audio tape for AutoNation. I found out who they were. I played it for their board members. I played it for the executive staff. They laughed. We're a Power dealer. We don't care. It's not our problem. We called the police. Nothing was done. Now, shortly after this, if you get over here by this corner right here, this corner right in this area right here, after they went back in there, after he threatened to arrest us and I had an audio recorder, you look at the arrow right here, I was on this corner with Westcott. We proceeded to protest because the Constitution isn't supposed to back down. A guy from the garage round the corner almost ran me down, almost went up on this curb and ran me down and stopped somewhere around in here, pretty much behind him. Let's see. Behind him, right, and he stopped right here, and he called out to a couple people, salesmen that were in this area here, and yelled out, said, "Did you see him try to hit the car with the sign?" Which I never did, but if he could have got one salesman to walk over there, pull out the cell phone, you call the police, you catch a case, you build a case against them. And this is notoriously, especially if you go in front of a dealership, you're risking your life. You could protest anywhere, but you go in front of a car dealership, you're risking your life. And if you dare get the NAACP, you'll get a better idea about Whitaker and all the people that knew about it. A lot of the people in Washington knew about it. I mean, I phone called this video in. I can tell by the counter who's hitting it when you're phoning in for people to view it. Probably over 200-300 congressmen seen when car dealers attack. Now, this is towards me, and that's Travis. That's just down from me. And if you look across the street, that's 91st Avenue and Bell Road, the intersection. The Van Tile Holding Group dealership, Nissan dealerships, is right here. Peaceful, no problem. trying to be an American. Just trying to be one now. Now, keep in mind, now I've already played this audio and I've got it. Well, these guys came out to harass us and threaten us to arrest us. So I decided that I would protest
Sit down, Mike
the Chevrolet
Jackson.
dealership as well, after I found out that the
Sit
power
down.
dealerships were capable of arresting people. Now, by
No
just the means of
responsible
walking
CEO
across
would
the
let
street,
that
the management
happen.
can actually
They
arrest
would've-
women
they
now,
would've took
incarcerate
that
them.
responsible, they
Well,
would've
all
paid
the
a
nations
man
of,
for
you know, the biggest
people.
dealership, they have
Ridiculous.
212 some dealerships, they represent every brand, and their GM brand too. But keep in mind, the country's suffering. This company's trying to get $50 billion, but there's no car company, import or domestic, that has an assault video involved with a hate crime.
Because no one would
Women
get
and children.
away with
No.
that.
But why do we
No
have
CEO would
why-
allow that to even be on the
Check
internet.
Nissan
They would've made
dealership.
that
Before we went to the
people
power,
peacefully.
the police were called. The police were getting chummy. They didn't like the complaints. They didn't want the calls. See, when police roll up, they want to arrest people. They need charges. That basically sustains what their job is. Well, Fleet, the handicapped kid. He's really a nice kid. He's kind of hard to handle, a little hard to understand, but he's basically their good-natured kid. And as you notice, for 14, 15, they look like 10, 11-year-olds because their parents had drug and alcohol problems, and sometimes, plus they were adamant smokers, kids don't develop fast in them conditions. But they're really good kids. DW loved them. She allowed them to come in her house, use the internet. I mean, it was kind of like she never had any children, but she really wanted to help them kids any way she could. And protesting was just a means of helping them in some way. And then that's Jesse. Now, he was there on the 20th. He wasn't there on the attack. Another super nice guy from Arizona. You'll hear him say in one of the videos, "You can't do that, buddy," on the 20th when Max had charged me. Goes
Before
back
we got
in,
attacked.
and we don't think much of it. Max comes out there with a sign, Dumb and Dumber. We didn't really know who he was. And basically, he got his shots in, we got our shots in, and we went back to protesting. We didn't know we were getting ready to be set up for a hate crime. We didn't know we were going to be desecrated and abused by the dealership further because we had no idea. We protest force. I mean, he sells cars to all the Washington people. Come on. Isn't it kind of ironic that Obama's shaking this guy's hand, and all of a sudden there's a video called "When Car Dealers Attack," and Gary Locke and Stephen Chu and other board members and Ron Bloom all knew about this, but Obama wasn't going to do anything with GM because he needed a success story, because Obama doesn't have any success stories in regards to it. For Mike Jackson to step down, maybe Mike Maroney settle this claim with us with some type of respect and honor, and say you're sorry to D.W. Westcott and the kids or something in some form. This is the day of the alleged criminal activity and a hate crime against American women and children, a sexual assault on D.W. Westcott, and contact
And because
with
he's
handicap
Jewish,
and minors.
he's never
But
gonna be
anyhow,
arrested. I
this is
just told
the 21st. Now, they came out there with the wise guy, Italian guy, let us know that the gangsters are there. Okay. Max came out there with a sign. We're 30 minutes from leaving now. The police were never called on the 21st for any circumstances. It's around 2 o'clock. We're getting ready to leave. They pull up in the golf cart, and I'll point some of these people out. This is Zamorino, which still works here today. This is the credit manager, Scott Guest, which eventually got other charges and came towards the kids again in a disorderly conduct to the Arizona Supreme Court. This is the fleet contract, and I'm not sure who the real young big guy is behind there. These are the managers of the company. Now, they pull up. We're on the line in front of this. Westcott's the last one on the line here, and they're kind of like basically distracting them. Meanwhile, they know Max is going around the parking lot to set up the hate crime and attack. Because you're not going to protest. Now, this is just the activities of the 21st. Most people would say, well, the guy lost it. We're not responsible for a salesman that went on the nut. Well, that's
He's down
not
in
true.
Florida working
Not
in
when
an
the
AutoNation
management
dealership now,
facilitates
right
it,
now.
promotes it, and supports it, and condones it, all the way up to the CEO, Mike Jackson. Come on. Anyhow, so what happens here is he's coming around. He's coming around. We don't know this. We're ready to leave now. The police were never called on the 21st. They were called on the 20th. We're going to get into what happened on the 20th and afterwards, because it got worse afterwards. Which means, because once they got away with it, they knew, hey, you can't touch us. When they go out there and tell you, you can't touch us, because our CEO knows sitting presidents, because he was friends with George Bush, he sold the Bush's cars, and he probably sold the Obama cars, or probably will in the future. Because when you walk into